So I'm definitely a firm believer in the law of attraction. I mean, from an emotional level down to a molecular level.
Yeah.
How does that work with addictions?
Well, what are people addicted to? They're addicted to feeling good.
Okay.
And drugs will make you feel... No one's ever taken a drug that made them feel bad, right? The problem with the drug and the addiction is, what people have to understand, it would be like this. Say I had a job and I needed a device to get me there, like a GPS, because it's the first time going there. But if you found yourself 5 years later using the GPS to get to work every day, the battery ran out, or something went wrong, the frustration of it. So drugs can be used as a tool. I'm not condoning drugs, but they can use as a tool to find a place, a frequency that you may or may not have gotten there. But if you have to keep using it, then you have to wait for the drug to get into your system, so to speak. So people struggle with that. But the biggest struggle about drugs isn't necessarily the substance itself. It's the guilt that actually strains the body, and then when you come down, the resistance is creating the cellular structure to break down, and all disease happens. Because there are people that do take drugs and don't feel that, you know. And, you know, again, I don't suggest it, because once you realize you're having a problem, your path is then to get off of it. And that's what it is everyone wants to feel good, and some people don't know their natural state is to feel good. They're just blocking it. But, and, you know, in our society, a lot of people are always in this comparative mode. Where do I stand? And the reality is, in physics or in biology, you cannot compare. There is no... The act of comparison is the most ridiculous thing in the world to do, because in the understanding of quantum physics, nothing ever remains the same. I can't even compare myself to 5 minutes ago, let alone somebody else. And once I'm in the act of comparison, so one of the problems they always had in physics was measuring a wave and a particle. You can't, because once it's a particle, it's sustained in a position. A wave is constantly moving. So you can't get the speed and the position at the same time. And comparison is that exact problem. You cannot compare yourself to yourself years ago or a couple of minutes ago. You certainly can't compare yourself to somebody else. So people end up finding that way to release themselves from it. Again, towards the end, I'm going to actually talk about, I don't know if anyone here meditates. There you go.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about overcoming fear to reach your goals?
That's a good
Well, fear is a nonsensical thing, because fear is a messenger, if you will, and like, you know, Roosevelt said, right? You know, fear is the only thing to fear but fear itself. It's true, because can you tell me what's fearful? Like, in other words, if you're scared of your car, it's going to get stolen. Once it gets stolen, the fear of the car goes with it. Now, the aggravation of getting a new car comes, but the fear literally doesn't exist. Fear is just not wanting to go in the direction in which your higher self is pulling you, not knowing what's going to happen. So fear is running down the street, constantly looking over your shoulder and wondering why you're hitting every branch in the way. That's all fear is. Fear is just not facing. Fear literally is a message. And when they, you know, a lot of people say, God doesn't give you what you can't handle. Well, a part of God is actually you. And we will literally put ourselves, sometimes in more of a subconscious way. Most people consciously wouldn't put themselves in a very tough situation, unless you're that crazy guy that puts himself in the middle of nowhere with a bottle of water for 3 weeks. But you normally wouldn't do that. But at the subconscious level, there's a theme you want to get over. So fear then becomes the thing that pushes you away. And you're actually pushing away from what it is you want to go.
So you don't think it's ever an indication you're going the wrong way?
It's absolutely the greatest indication you're going the wrong way.
But,
in other words...
But there are other times when you're saying just push through it. So how do you
know?
know?
No, pushing through it, actually in physics, whatever you push against grows. You actually have to settle into it. So if fear comes knocking at your door, answer the door. Don't hold the door shut. That would be pushing against it. And when the fear came in knocking on the door and says, you know, this will happen, okay, you do it. Because, you know, name something that you were afraid of that did it come to pass. And when it did, where did the fear go with it? So knowing your past movement, can you now slowly start to eliminate fear? Yeah, absolutely. You have to make it nonsensical. So your beliefs are the driving engine of that. And I don't believe in disowning your beliefs or because your beliefs actually, your higher self, the way it really works, your higher self actually knows where you are based on your belief structure. So it doesn't really care what your belief structure is. Most people don't really fully trust their own beliefs.